Imagine a country so small that every single square meter counts. A nation where space is so precious that the ocean itself becomes a resource. Welcome to Singapore. From above, it looks like any other city. Skyscrapers, busy ports, and crowded streets. But look closer, and you'll see something extraordinary. This is a country that is literally expanding into the sea. Islands, coastlines, and waterfronts that didn't exist a century ago now support homes, businesses, and airports. You see huge machines scooping sand, barges moving slowly across the water, engineers carefully shaping the coastline. The process is meticulous. Every grain matters. Every wave is calculated. But why go to such extremes? Why build land where there was only water? Singapore is one of the world's smallest countries, less than 800 square kilometers, and its population keeps growing. There isn't enough room for housing, roads, factories, or even green spaces. Without expansion, the country could stagnate, trapped by its own borders. So instead of waiting, Singapore decided to create its own space. New land, out of the ocean. It sounds impossible, but for Singapore, it's survival, it's innovation, and it's a vision for the future. Why Singapore needs land. Now imagine living in a city where every square meter is already used. Streets are crowded, homes are stacked high, and factories jostle for space. That's Singapore. This tiny nation sits at the tip of the Malay Peninsula. It's less than 1% the size of Texas, but it's home to over 5.5 million people. Every year, more people arrive for jobs, business, or education. Every square meter matters. And the country isn't just growing in population, its economy is booming. Ports, airports, high-tech industries, and financial centers need space to operate. Without room to expand, Singapore could face gridlock, shortages, and even economic slowdown. So Singapore looked outward, to the sea. The ocean, which once marked the edge of the country, became a blank canvas. By reclaiming land from the sea, Singapore could create new neighborhoods, extend its ports, and build infrastructure that would have been impossible on its original footprint. But reclaiming land is not just dumping sand. It requires careful planning, advanced engineering, and a deep understanding of tides, currents, and storms that could undo years of work if mismanaged. The reclamation process. Now imagine turning water into land. Sounds impossible, right? But Singapore does it, using sand, rocks, and soil to build entire neighborhoods where waves once crashed. The process starts with sand. Huge quantities are dredged from nearby seas or imported from other countries. Barges carry it carefully to the site, and massive pumps spray it into place, filling shallow water and forming the foundation for new land. Then come rocks and clay, layered precisely to stabilize the ground. Engineers study every detail, how the sand settles, how tides will shift it, and how the weight of buildings will affect the soil. Every layer acts like armor against the sea, ensuring the land won't sink or erode. Creating land isn't just about materials. Engineers sculpt coastlines to control waves and prevent erosion. Roads, drainage systems, and utilities are installed even before the first building rises. It's building a city from the ground up, literally from the seabed. Singapore doesn't just fight the sea, it collaborates with it, turning a challenge into an opportunity that supports housing, industry, and public spaces. Engineering challenges. Now imagine building an entire city on land that didn't exist a decade ago. Sounds risky, right? For Singapore, it's a constant challenge. The first problem is stability. Sand and soil naturally shift, especially under the weight of skyscrapers, roads, and bridges. Engineers must carefully predict how the new land will settle over time. Even a few centimeters of unexpected sinking could damage buildings or infrastructure. Then there's the sea itself. Waves, tides, and storms constantly test the reclaimed land. Protective barriers, seawalls, and groins redirect the water's energy to prevent erosion. Drainage systems handle heavy tropical rains. One mistake, and the ocean could reclaim the land faster than it was built. Another challenge is the environment. Reclaiming land can disturb marine life, coral reefs, and natural currents. Singapore addresses this by carefully planning the shape and location of new land, creating artificial beaches, and building habitats for displaced wildlife. Logistics is also a huge hurdle. Transporting millions of tons of sand, rock, and clay requires a massive fleet of ships, cranes, and machines. Every step must be timed precisely. Despite these challenges, Singapore has turned obstacles into innovations, shaping the future literally from the sea. Major projects and expansions. Now imagine walking in neighborhoods that didn't exist 10 years ago. Entire districts built from the ocean. That's Singapore today. One famous project is Marina Bay. Once water, it is now the city's glittering heart, home to skyscrapers, parks, and landmarks. Reclaimed land allowed Singapore to expand its financial district and create public spaces for work and leisure. Then there's Changi Airport. Reclamation extended runways and terminals, making the airport one of the busiest and most efficient globally. Residential areas also rise from the sea. Districts like Jurong Island and Tuas have become industrial hubs, housing factories, research centers, and ports. Every new neighborhood balances industry, nature, and city life. Singapore continues planning for the future, reclaiming land for housing, parks, and ports. Engineers constantly innovate, monitoring soil stability, preventing erosion, and protecting the surrounding sea. These projects show Singapore doesn't just adapt to space limits, it expands literally and figuratively, turning small size into global opportunity. Every meter of reclaimed land represents decades of careful engineering and a vision that transforms challenges into sustainable growth. Environmental and global impact. Now imagine reshaping nature itself. Land reclamation affects ecosystems, water flow, and marine life. Coral reefs, fish habitats, and tidal patterns are sensitive. Singapore carefully plans construction, creating artificial reefs and restoring habitats where possible. Engineers monitor water quality and currents to prevent long-term damage. The benefits are clear. Singapore gains space for homes, businesses, parks, and essential infrastructure. Land reclamation also improves flood management, controlling water flow during heavy rains and protecting inland areas from rising seas. Globally, Singapore's methods inspire other nations facing space shortages or coastal threats. Countries observe its planning, technology, and risk management, seeing how limited land can be expanded responsibly. Yet challenges remain. Balancing urban growth and environmental sustainability requires constant monitoring and adaptation. Singapore demonstrates that even small nations can expand safely, proving human ingenuity can transform natural challenges into thriving urban solutions. The nation shows that collaboration with nature, careful engineering, and long-term planning can create a future where the ocean becomes part of a resilient, livable city. The future of Singapore. Now imagine Singapore 20 or 30 years from now. A city that barely existed a century ago has become a global hub thanks to bold reclamation projects. The country plans with precision, creating districts, parks, and ports reclaimed from the sea. Advanced technology ensures land is stable, safe, and sustainable, accounting for rising sea levels, extreme weather, and population growth. Future neighborhoods will blend green spaces, walkable streets, public transport, and eco-friendly buildings, making them vibrant and livable. Reclaimed areas will host innovation hubs, research centers, and renewable energy projects, boosting Singapore's economy and technology. The impact is global. Singapore serves as a model for coastal cities facing space constraints and climate challenges. Lessons learned here may shape urban planning worldwide. But challenges remain. Land must resist erosion, survive storms, and coexist with nature. Singapore shows that even a small nation can reshape the earth to build a resilient, thriving future, demonstrating bold vision, engineering mastery, and sustainable planning for generations to come.